じいさん、こいつ任せるぞ。
There are some anime characters you just don't mess with. Why? Because they don't just use their abilities, they absolutely flex them. So today we bring you 20 most satisfying moments in anime where a character utterly destroys everyone in the room, whether it's a moment of pure disrespect or a well-deserved showcase of strength. Starting off with Benimaru Shinmon, a reluctant leader in a town gripped by fear. It falls to him to rally his troops and the citizens as outsiders, and a demon threatened to tear them apart. As Shinra and Arthur find themselves in a challenging fight against the infernal demon, Benimaru arrives on the scene. Faced with this powerful opponent, he simply flexes his strength, while Shinra and Arthur watch him easily deflect the demon's attacks. Benimaru initially holds back out of concern for the town, before deciding to take the battle to the skies. He finally gets a chance to obliterate the enemy with his awe-inspiring technique. Many have been applauding the sound direction for this scene, and it truly enhances the moment. The bass alone is one of the most awesome and satisfying sounds you can hear in Fire Force. It's the perfect complement to watching Benimaru nonchalantly take down the enemy. Next, we have Saitama. Scientists tracking a meteorite suddenly find themselves in a panic as the massive rock changes its trajectory towards Earth. The city's mass warning system blares, forecasting doom, and the SS-class heroes scramble to respond to the urgent call to action. Despite their best efforts, the heroes prove as effective as a wet napkin against a raging fire. Genos exhausts all his energy in a futile attempt to destroy the meteor, while Metal Knight's advanced weaponry barely scratches its surface, though it does make a nice fireworks show for the terrified onlookers. With mere seconds before impact, all hope seems lost, and the heroes are left wondering if they should have just stayed home. Just then, Saitama makes his entrance, leaping high into the air as if he's just going for a casual jog. With his characteristic nonchalance, he cocks back his fist and delivers a single devastating punch. The impact shatters the meteor into countless fragments, averting total destruction but still raining debris across the city. As the dust settles, Saitama stands amidst the rubble, his bald head gleaming and his cape billowing dramatically, looking like he just finished a workout rather than saving the world. Next up, we have Gojo. The enemy has cleverly constructed a barrier specifically designed to keep Satoru Gojo out while allowing others to enter freely. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. A palpable surge of cursed energy ripples through the air, causing both allies and foes to pause. The barrier, which seemed impenetrable moments ago, begins to waver and distort. In a breathtaking display of power, the curtain of energy lifts, revealing Satoru Gojo hovering above the battlefield. Gojo's arrival is marked by an aura of calm confidence. His piercing blue eyes, usually hidden behind his blindfold, are now visible, indicating he's using his six-eyes technique. The sheer magnitude of his cursed energy is evident, manifesting as a subtle distortion in the air around him. With effortless G-race, Gojo descends to the ground, his white hair and outfit untouched by the chaos surrounding him. His presence immediately shifts the balance of power, instilling hope in his allies and fear in his enemies. Without a word, his actions speak volumes. Next, we have Ichigo. Kenpachi Zaraki, exhausted from his previous battle against Gremmy, is suddenly attacked by 4 stern ridders of the Quincy Army. In this weakened state, Kenpachi seems doomed to fall. However, in this critical moment, Ichigo Kurosaki appears like a bolt from the blue. He plunges down onto the battlefield from above and saves Kenpachi from certain death at the last second. Ichigo's arrival is spectacular and powerful, a truly heroic entrance. Without hesitation, Ichigo confronts the stern ridders. With his immense spiritual power and improved abilities, he dominates the fight. His movements are quick and precise, his attacks devastating. The stern ridders, who just moments ago had the upper hand, suddenly find themselves on the defensive. Ichigo's intervention impressively demonstrates how far he has developed. He now fights on par with the mightiest warriors of the Soul Society and even surpasses them. Next, we have Giyu, the Water Hashira. The battle between Tanjiro, Nezuko, and Rui reaches its climax on Mount Naragumo. Tanjiro, pushed to his limits. As Tanjiro collapses from exhaustion, Rui reveals he's far from defeated. The demon regenerates, and prepares to deliver a fatal blow to the incapacitated Tanjiro and Nezuko. In this moment of desperation, Giyu Tomioka, the water Hashira, makes his dramatic entrance. With lightning, fast speed, he interposes himself between Rui and the siblings. Giyu's arrival is marked by a display of his masterful swordsmanship, as he effortlessly deflects Rui's attacks. Giyu then engages Rui in combat, showcasing the vast difference in power between a Hashira and a lower moon demon. His water-breathing techniques flow with grace and deadly precision, overwhelming Rui's spider thread ability S. The fight is swift and decisive, with Giyu demonstrating why he holds the title of Water Hashira. Next up, we have All Might, symbol of peace, rushing to the USG after a distressing encounter with Tanya. With his booming voice, All Might announces his presence. Have no fear. Why? Because I am here. This declaration instantly boosts the morale of the students and strikes fear into the hearts of the villains. Using his incredible speed, All Might zips across the USJ, rescuing students from immediate danger. His movements are so fast that he appears to be in multiple places at once. With each rescue, he delivers powerful blows to the villains, sending them flying. The main threat, however, comes from the Monstrous Nomu, a bioengineered creature designed to defeat All Might. As All Might engages this formidable foe, the students watch in awe at the sheer power of their teacher. The battle between All Might and Nomu is intense, with earth-shattering punches exchanged. Despite Nomu's shock absorption and regeneration abilities, All Might pushes beyond his limits, showcasing why he's known as the symbol of peace. In a final awe-inspiring display of strength, All Might unleashes a barrage of punches, each more powerful than the last, culminating in his ultimate move, United States of Smash. This devastating attack not only defeats Nomu, but also serves as a beacon of hope for the students and a warning to all villains. Next up, we have another Gojo entry. After Yuji swallows Sukuna's first finger, a tense atmosphere prevails. Megumi is worried and uncertain whether Yuji is still himself or if the curse has taken control. In this critical moment, Gojo appears and breaks the tension with his casual demeanor. Gojo, the most powerful jujutsu sorcerer, approaches the situation with apparent nonchalance. He immediately senses Sukuna's presence in Yuji's body. Without hesitation, he challenges Sukuna to reveal himself. Sukuna, curious about the legendary Gojo, briefly takes control of Yuji's body. A short exchange of blows ensues, during which Gojo demonstrates his superior strength and speed. Sukuna can barely follow Gojo's movements and is visibly impressed by his abilities. Gojo uses this opportunity to show Sukuna that he is no longer the strongest in the modern world. With a mixture of arrogance and self-confidence, Gojo makes it clear that Sukuna stands no chance against him. The confrontation ends quickly, as Sukuna realizes that in his weakened state, he is no match for Gojo. Next, we have Mihawk, the world's greatest swordsman, known for his formidable prowess and the intimidating title Hawkeyes. He attacks the Krieg pirates, not out of any grudge, but merely for his own amusement. As the debris settles, Zoro steps forward with a burning desire to test his skills. The tension in the air is palpable as Zoro, the ambitious young swordsman from the East Blue, faces Dracul Mihawk. Mihawk, with his piercing yellow eyes, regards Zoro with a mixture of curiosity and indifference. As the confrontation begins, Mihawk, in a display of contempt, draws a small knife from the cross around his neck instead of his famous black sword, Yoru. This action further ignites Zoro's determination to prove himself. The other Straw Hat pirates watch in a mixture of awe and fear as their crewmate faces off against the world's greatest swordsman. The scene is set for an iconic moment in One Piece history, as Zoro's unwavering resolve clashes with Mihawk's overwhelming skill and experience. Next up, we have Naruto. The tension unfolds with Shin taking cues from his revered ancestor Itachi. He declares his intent to revive the Akatsuki and push the world back into conflict to bring about evolution and change. His plan, however, involves a Distu Arbing method, utilizing his own clones as disposable tools in his quest for power. Naruto, the seventh Hokage, confronts Shin with his immense chakra control and years of combat experience. Despite Shin's surprising attacks and his ability to manipulate weapons, Naruto remains steadfast. Shin's Mangekyo Sharingan and his remotely control-led weapons pose a serious threat, but Naruto's rapid regeneration ability and tactical skills keep him in the fight. The conflict intensifies when Sasuke joins the battle. The collaboration of the two legendary shinobi puts pressure on Shin, who is forced to employ his advanced techniques. Despite Shin's impressive abilities, it becomes clear that Naruto and Sasuke are holding back their full power, possibly to gain information or avoid collateral damage. The dynamics of the fight change dramatically when Sakura and Sarada are drawn into the conflict. Shin, who until this moment felt confident and superior, is visibly shaken by Naruto's sudden display of power. The sight of Kurama's strength makes him realize that he is dealing with arguably the most powerful shinobi of his time. Next, we have Julius, the Wizard King. Asta and Leopold find themselves in a desperate situation, surrounded by the powerful mages of the Midnight Sun. Despite Leopold's fiery determination and Asta's tireless fighting spirit, they are no match for their superior opponents. In this critical moment, Julius intervenes. With an impressive demonstration of his time magic, he swiftly neutralizes two enemy mages threatening Asta. His movements are so fast that they are barely perceptible to the naked eye. The attackers age rapidly within seconds and crumble to dust, a terrifying testament to Julius's power. Julius's intervention turns the tide. His presence alone causes the enemies to retreat. With calm authority and overwhelming magical power, he not only ensures Asta's and Leopold's safety, but also impressively demonstrates why he holds the title of Wizard King. Next, we have Gojo with another entry. Despite Jogo's efforts to overwhelm Gojo with consecutive volcanic attacks, each assault proves futile. Jogo's mastery over his cursed techniques showcases his ability to manipulate both space and force, leaving Jogo staggered. Gojo even decides to bring Yuji directly into the battle and teaches through exposure, a method that's as risky as it is effective. His calmness in the face of Jogo's destructive attacks already hints that he's fighting on a completely different level. With a confident smile on his lips, Gojo even provokes his opponent further. He mocks Jogo's attacks, calling them simple, which wounds Jogo's pride and drives him to launch even more fierce assaults. With a smile on his lips, he activates his limitless technique. Next up, we have Rock Lee. The fight between Rock Lee and Gaara in the arena begins one-sidedly. Rock Lee, despite his impressive taijutsu skills, cannot penetrate Gaara's automatic sand defense. His quick attacks and acrobatic movements seem ineffective, while Gaara stands motionless in the center of the arena. The spectators and even Gaara's teammates are convinced of Lee's apparent inferiority. Tamari and Kankuro even mock Lee's appearance and supposedly weak kicks, but then comes the turning point. Lee asks his sensei Guy for permission to remove the weights on his legs. Everyone in the audience initially believes that shedding a few pounds wouldn't make much difference. When Lee drops the weights, the situation changes dramatically. The impact of the weights hitting the ground is so powerful that it kicks up dust clouds and leaves craters. This moment leaves all present in disbelieving amazement. With his newly gained speed and agility, Lee begins to break through Gaara's defense. He moves so fast that he's barely visible to the naked eye. For the first time in his life, Gaara is confronted with an opponent who can penetrate his sand barrier. The fight takes on a completely new dynamic as Lee launches Gaara into the air and starts a series of powerful attacks. The spectators, who had previously underestimated Lee, are now thrilled by his incredible performance. Next up, we have Saitama along with Genos. Their entrance into the Hero Association was anything but ordinary. The Hero Test consists of two parts: a grueling physical exam designed to push the candidates to their limits, and a written test that's just as challenging for any average Joe. This would be daunting for most, but not for Saitama. The test comprises several physical challenges that clearly showcase Saitama's extraordinary abilities. In weightlifting, Saitama effortlessly lifts the maximum weight. Even in side-to-side jumping, he achieves a result that overwhelms the measuring devices. The reactions of other participants and examiners to Saitama's performances are a mix of disbelief, confusion, and amazement. Many can hardly believe what they're seeing. Next up, we have Aizen. Aizen claims that Renji abandoned Rukia, but Renji refuses to accept this. He remembers the deep connection he and Rukia have shared since their time together at the academy. Despite knowing Aizen's overwhelming power, Renji's resolve strengthens, and he prepares for battle. At this moment, Ichigo appears. Just as Aizen is about to deliver a fatal blow to Renji, Ichigo blocks Aizen's sword with his own. Ichigo now also stands against Aizen, determined to protect both Rukia and Renji. However, from the very beginning, it's clear that Aizen is far superior to both of them. Ichigo attacks Aizen with his Zanpakuto, but Aizen effortlessly parries every single strike. He moves with a speed and precision that completely overwhelms Ichigo. In an impressive demonstration of his strength, Aizen even catches Ichigo's sword strikes with his bare hand, without taking the slightest damage. During the fight, it becomes obvious that Aizen is fighting on a completely different level. He seems to anticipate his opponent's movements and counters them before they can even be...
Oh yeah.
But they can't even scratch Aizen. Next up, we have Escanor. Escanor, the lion's sin of pride, works as a seemingly weak bartender in his own tavern. Two powerful demons, Galen and Maricilla, enter the bar unaware of who they're facing. At first, Escanor appears weak and timid, which leads the demons to underestimate him. Galen, the arrogant demon, proposes a game of life and death. Escanor hesitantly agrees. As Galen pats Escanor on the back to start the game, something unexpected happens. Escanor falls unconscious to the ground. The demon S are confused and amused by the bartender's apparent weakness. But what the demons don't know is that Escanor's true power awakens with the sunrise. As the sun rises, Escanor's transformation begins. His muscles grow, his posture becomes upright, and his confidence soars immeasurably. This change surprises Galen. Recognizing the threat, Galen unleashes his full power and increases his combat strength. He attacks Escanor with all his might, but only manages to inflict a slight cut on Escanor's forearm. Escanor, now radiating an overwhelming aura, effortlessly overcomes Galen. In a demonstration of his enormous strength, Escanor defeats Galen with ease, even when Galen uses his critical over technique. In a particularly dramatic moment, Escanor strikes Gala-en with his axe, an attack so powerful that Galen is left in disbelief. For the first time, Galen feels real fear in the face of Escanor's power. Unable to comprehend or accept his defeat, Galen attempts to flee. However, due to his own commandment of truth, which turns liars to stone, Galen is transformed into a statue as he runs away, having broken his own vow to fight Escanor.
Game over.
Next, we have Captain Levi in one of the most adrenaline-pumping sequences in anime history. Levi Ackerman engages in a deadly dance with Kenny Ackerman and his squad. This scene is about survival strategy and the harsh realities of Levi's world, but his quick thinking and agility keep him several steps ahead of everyone. Kenny suddenly appears in front of Levi and opens fire with his special anti-personnel gear guns. Levi manages to dodge the shots, but some of his comrades are killed. Levi uses his superior R skills with the 3D maneuver gear to flee through narrow alleys and over rooftops, while Kenny and his men pursue him. Levi escapes into a nearby bar. He barricades himself there and uses the furniture as cover. Kenny and his men surround the building. Levi quickly analyzes the situation. He knows he's outnumbered and needs to find an escape route. He observes Kenny's men's positions through the windows. Suddenly, Levi shoots through a window with his 3D maneuver gear and catapults himself onto the roof. Kenny reacts immediately and pursues him. A high-speed chase over the rooftops begins. Levi uses his superior speed and agility to dodge Kenny's shots. He jumps from roof to roof, swings around chimneys, and glides along rain gutters. At a narrow point between two buildings, Levi succeeds in breaking away and escaping. Next up, we have Luffy. The atmosphere is tense among the citizens of Fishman Island and the Straw Hat crew. Hody's intent to transform the societal fabric by instilling fear and subjugation is clear, as he boasts about his army of 100,000 strong, ready to squash any resistance. As Hody was about to execute King Neptune, Shirahoshi and the inhabitants of the island called out to Luffy for help. While facing the massive army, Luffy unleashes his Conqueror's Haki, a powerful ability that allows him to exert his will over others. With a single burst of his Conqueror's Haki, Luffy knocks out 50,000 fishmen, leaving the remaining troops in shock and disbelief. This display of power not only demonstrates Luffy's growth, but also changes the course of the battle in favor of the Straw Hat crew. The citizens of Fishman Island, who were initially afraid of Hody's overwhelming numbers, are now filled with hope as they witness Luffy's incredible ability to turn the tide. As the fight continues, Luffy directly confronts Hodi, showcasing his combat skills and determination. He uses a combination of his gum-gum abilities and haki to defeat Hodi and his remaining troops, proving that he is a formidable opponent even in the face of overwhelming odds. Next, we have Madara Uchiha as he steps onto the battlefield. His presence alone shifts the tide. Using nothing but taijutsu and ninjutsu, he decimates the 4th Division, his Sharingan effortlessly predicting and countering their desperate attacks. Tamari, from a long-range distance, launches an attack that is forceful enough to push Madara back, but does little to faze him. However, the effect is minimal, and Madara remains unimpressed. He counters with a series of powerful jutsu that shake the environment and send his opponents into panic. The various ninja attempt to overwhelm Madara with teamwork and strategic attacks. The 5 Cage and other strong ninja employ their best techniques to defeat him. Nevertheless, Madara is able to parry their attacks with ease. He utilizes his superior speed and reflexes to evade most attacks and counters with devastating techniques like the meteorite rain, which ravages entire landscapes and brings his opponents to their knees. Madara demonstrates not only his physical abilities, but also his strategic brilliance. He plays with his opponent's emotions and exploits their fear and despair to his advantage. During the battle, he also displays his ability to maintain control over the Bijou, granting him additional power. The allied forces fight bravely, but their efforts are in vain. Madara remains undefeated, showing that even the combined strength of many ninja is not enough to bring him down.
2個目はどうする？大野。なんだ！